I used to be ecstatic. Now if you look through my eyes, all you'd see is static. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but when the money leaves, so does love, it's automatic. There's a curtain, I see past it. I like the world better when I still believed in magic, man. I used to imagine winning with my friends, but they fell victim to the habits. Now the only thing that matters is finally understanding it ain't my fault that it happened. Only reason that I'm blabbing is cause I want you there for me when I'm finally there for me. Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? If I told you that I've never gotten close to anybody? Would you give me time while I figure me out? Or would you rather get rid of me now? Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? Oh, I feel hysteric, afraid I won't get to enjoy my life before I perish. So I flew out to Paris just to daydream about home out on the terrace. I've been dangling these carrots, motivated by the things that don't have any merit. Once I get it, I'll be cherished. I know that it's wrong, but I repeat it like a parrot. Maybe I am just embarrassed, cause if I wasn't busy, I'd be lonely, that's apparent. Only reason that I'm sharing is cause I want you there for me when I'm finally there for me. Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? If I told you that I've never gotten close to anybody? Would you give me time while I figure me out? Or would you rather get rid of me now? Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? If I told you that I've never gotten close to anybody? Would you give me time while I figure me out? Or would you rather get rid of me now? Would you love me if I told you that I don't know how to love me? I think I'm hallucinating, still awake on dating, like datings. We spoke 100 times, I'm over your mistakes, but you still ain't over my trouble. Follow me wherever I go, how can I make it up to you? Hell if I know, please don't let me dim your elegant glow. I was only JK like LMNO. If I could rearrange the whole alphabet, I would repeat the letters and sleep till I forget. But since I can't, I'ma keep tapping the tab, cause I don't wanna spend Saturday sad. You remind me of the city that I'm from, cause you cry like the clouds and hide like the sun. When you come around, it's like you never left. The way you stick around, I can never guess. You remind me of the city that I'm from. I caught a glimpse of you, you were so whimsical. For a minute or two, you seemed invincible, until you hit your truth, like it's against the rules. If it meant I get you back, I'd tear my limbs in two. I think it's tragic your passion got me.
Hello, check. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? I woke up not too long ago, but we are still on time. I gotta change the stream title. I wasn't supposed to be here today. I'm just realizing. I guess that's a good thing. Here, let me go ahead and change this to the 6th before we get started today. Yeah. I didn't even do that on purpose, guys. I actually just was genuinely excited to stream, so I hopped on. And because I said I was only going to be streaming 2 days a week, or every 2 days, I put it on the 7th because that's what I assumed I was doing. But yeah, I guess I'll stay. I got no issue with that. Like I said, just genuinely excited to be here. Which, happy about that. All right, let's go ahead and get started today. Don't have the camera up and running yet. Like I said, gonna get a green screen going. This is my friend Dennis. We love Dennis around here. Let me go ahead and pull up Trading View. I guess what sparked me jumping on today, not only was I just gonna do it anyways, but I did get a long-winded YouTube comment, and I really want to reply to the guy, but obviously typing out a lot of words is a lot less effective than just showing my thought process in a video. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit here. There we go. Well, let me go ahead and read the question. Go ahead and go find it real quick. All right, so very long question. It says, Dear Austin, the most important thing is have a good method to take profit when you make an entry on an ABC trade, and less important when to take the ABC trade. I don't necessarily agree, and it's perfectly fine to have a difference in opinion. Once again, my job is to not force you to trade the way that I do, but rather explain why I do things, and more importantly, like the psychology and just like the bare bone basics of why I think I'm successful trading. Now, if you're going to go and take that and apply that to a indicator, strategy, or whatever it might be, good on you. You said you expend a lot of time about the entries, but the take profit is weak. You changed your old method. Could you please explain scientifically or precisely when to take profit, if you can, without getting offended or laughing at someone if he doesn't understand it, after watching back and forth your last 2 videos? Never. I'm not going to berate you. I'm just going to simply explain to you why I think the way that I do. Maybe the problem is that you can't explain it better, and once again, because it's weak. So, listen, man. I like the intrigue, and I like the question, but we need to talk about the fact that you just said, please don't laugh or get offended. It's almost like you were just trying to bait me here into getting angry. You can't wait 4 months or a year of a bull run to take profit. I think I can. I don't know if that's like a literal thing because of funding, because funding is a very, very small chunk of your profit, and it should not necessarily determine. And if you do happen to run into that issue, adding 1 to 2% to the trade to cover the lost funding is not an issue. Or if you're talking about from like a psychological issue, where you get itchy fingers, don't quite know which one you're going with on that one, because your new method of using hedging doesn't work, or I didn't understand it. My problem is when to take profit. For example, if you trade at on the BTC 4-hour chart coming down from the 108 top to at 104, there's a short entry, but according to your method with hedge to today, I won't be able to take profit. So before we continue, let me just see. You said at 104. So you're saying that you would want to take a short at 108 and then take profit at 104. Are you talking based off of the previous ABC short here? Because that's the only thing that I see close to at 104. And obviously, when I talk about the hedge trading method, it's talking about it from a macro account. If you actually listen to the videos, I have talked about how you have multiple accounts. You have a macro account looking for maximum possible movement. You have a medium time frame account, which you can either use the same exact hedging method or simply exit the trade when you get the opposite trade to whichever one you took. So if you took a ABC short, you would exit on a significant or higher ABC long, but that's on the medium time frame. Right? It's about having an account that is able to take advantage of the entirety of a movement, and then one that is able to take medium term profit. I still technically use the hedging method with both of them, but sometimes, depending on how far we move, like if we move a generous amount and I'm up 20, 30 R&R, I don't necessarily have to sit there and wait, because I do have the other account in heavy profit and waiting to be in more heavy profit. So let me go ahead and go back here. But according to your new method, till today I won't be able to take profit. Could you correct me and show me where are the points to take profit? Because the trade didn't tell me to take profits while hedging on the contrary direction. It goes up and down, hedging forever. I think this would be the invalidation, I think you might meant to say. Till then it has failed miserably. I hope you understand, because it's very difficult for me to explain it without a proper video as you do. I have watched many times your last videos. I can't believe that the goal of your method is almost one take profit per year. The goal of my method is not to take profit once per year. My goal is to take profit when the market shows me that from a higher price point, I can still go long safely while taking profit on the previous one. It doesn't matter how long that takes. Sometimes, for the long-term example that I showed, yeah, it took a pretty damn long period of time. But there's times where it only takes a month or maybe a couple weeks. It's all dependent on how aggressive price action moves. All right. From 104 at December till today is 4 months and nothing. According to your hedging, it could go on forever. And what if it does? Is that a bad thing? Say, for example, you took the short trade at 108, and you're in a short, and the market doesn't show you any point to get out of that short, in this region at least. And then we dump all the way down to 51,000. Okay? Now, especially with short trades, because most of the time funding is in the direction of short trades, you're not going to have an issue with funding rate. So at that point, it's your own psychology that's going to determine whether or not you get itchy fingers and you, quote unquote, can't hold the trade. Now, like I said, if it moves aggressively and you don't have any sort of short position to go ahead and take profit and enter a new one through the use of hedging, if you're up a 30 R&R trade, at that point, yeah, just with your discretion say, I'm up a lot of money, let's go ahead and take profit. But the most important step after that, and this is where you're going to get into trouble based on what I'm reading from your question, is if you're not willing to hold a trade, then you're not willing to not be in a trade. It's an equal and opposite problem. So if you were to, like, let's say, for example, we just dump straight down. No ABCs, no nothing. Just dump straight down. And I say that it's appropriate that, like, hey, you're up a lot of money and we're sitting at a local low support. Be my guest, take profit. Okay? Now, that's an amazing trade. You held the trade for a significant period of time. You milked it for a lot of profit. But now what do? Do you sit back, enjoy your profits, and wait for the next available bearish ABC? Well, now you're not in the trade, so now you're winding up. You're wondering, oh man, what if we dump down even more? Should I have gotten rid of that trade in the first place? Do I go long without any long ABC? Like you're You're just throwing yourself for a loop psychologically. So that's something that you have to be aware of. But let's say, for example, you did take this trade and we dump all the way down to 49,000. Well, what are you going to do? If you take the short and you take profit down there, that's not a bad thing. I'm not going to scream at you if you took profit, but why not wait for an ABC? So you're saying that you're itching your fingers, okay? And that currently, if you were to take this short trade, where do you get out? Okay? Well, you want to get out at the next available halfway decent or equal to ABC short. And currently, we are forming it. It's only a matter of time. Now, the thing is that if we don't form it, then we're probably going lower. So what is the harm in holding the short trade? All right. And right now, this would be your setup based on my method. All right. You would have a short from the top at 108. You would have a long from down here off of this long ABC. So this is your current hedge range. Okay. So one of two things are going to happen. All right. Either one, the price is going to continue dumping and you're going to be stopped out of this long position. So you lose one R&R. All right. Getting stopped out is not a bad thing. It's not going to lose you a significant amount of money, especially when it is combined with the profit overtaking it from the short ABC. Now, if we do happen to continue to the upside, well, what do we have here? We have A, we have B, and as soon as we put in that higher high, like the second we put in that higher high, you're going to be taking profit on this short ABC, and then if this ABC confirms, keyword confirms, so we can shoot up from here. All right, you're still going to be taking profit here, but unless we come back down below this within a decent time frame, you're not going to be re-entering that short trade. So therefore, if we continue to the upside, the long profit will be taking over. So on that trade in particular, depending on what your stop loss was, let's say it was a 1.5%, all right, and you took profit here, that's an 11 R&R trade. Not too shabby. Obviously, we like more. But if the market shows us that we can still be bearish from a lower price point, what is the point in holding the higher one? Especially when we have opposite bullish momentum saying that we possibly could retest even higher. So we don't want to give up the profit from the short trade, but we also have to be just as patient to make sure that we're making the correct decision. So, for example, just as like you like to say that I can't hold a trade for 4 months because it's unbearable, or whatever the reasoning might be. Well, what if you took that short trade, you took profit on it, and I'm saying that like if you're only trading on one account, you took profit on it when this long ABC happened, and then we only have a little bit of a jump. We don't put in another short ABC. We just have a small retest, and then it continues dumping. So now you're going to lose this long position. You're not going to have a short position open, and you're going to be stuck in the same situation like I talked about before, where when you don't have a trade on the board, you're going to be itching to get into one in the first place. So you're going to be grabbing at air, trying to take shorts, and there might be small retests to the upside, constantly knocking you out. So maybe all of the profit that you made from here is gone and destroyed. So instead of being patient and waiting for an appropriate pattern, you're kind of just doing what you want. And in all reality, there's not much more I can explain besides being patient. The market isn't always going to give you what you want. It's about letting the market show you what it wants to do and then you making a play off of it. Like I said, if you're in a short trade or a long trade and you're up 30, 40 R&R, it's at your discretion, really, if you take the profit on that trade. But it's more importantly up to you to make sure that you're making the correct decision and sit on your thumbs if there is nothing left to do. Don't just immediately jump back into a long trade just because you were in a long trade that was working out, because it's not going to be the same situation as it once was before. That's where I was saying that I'm not saying that it's more important for the entry versus the exit or vice versa. It's all of it working in tandem that allows you to make better and better decisions. So, in the today video at the 36-minute mark, you skipped on how to take profit from such a long trade. You said we have to find the market tell us to take profit and find signs of bullishness again. I think you were confused. If I'm longing, I should get out of the when the bearishness appears. This comes from the misconception, well, not misconception, but the simple psychology that we want the best, right? We want to be able to buy everything when it's at the lowest it possibly can be and sell it when it's the possibly highest. It's almost as if you were listening to your granddaddy and you took him quite too literally when he said buy low, sell high. All right? It's buy as low as you can, sell as high as you can. You're not always going to be able to get the exact top and the exact bottom, because what one sign of bearishness versus one sign of bullishness, that bullishness could carry you to 200,000, but that sign of bearishness could be a simple retest of 84. So if I'm willing to get rid of a significantly awesome long position for just a small retest of downside, where yes, the goal of it is to make a little bit of extra profit, and now I'm scratching trying to figure out where to get back in, why do that to yourself? All right, so I don't quite know which trade I was talking about at the 34-minute mark. Maybe it was this one. All right, it was this ABC long trade here. Okay, well then you have two options. You could have either taken your profit on this ABC long trade, all right, and then once it failed, all right, you would now have to wait for it to create a new one, which would either be, you would get stopped out of this one a couple times, but it would be this one here. Okay, you could wait for that one, or you would wait for the lower one that's closer to a local low, local high that can be used as support. So if I'm in that long trade, they might say, well, you got stopped out of that a couple times, didn't you? Well, that's going to happen. So if I'm using a 1.5% stop loss and I got out of the trade here, that's a 48 R&R. So even if I get stopped out of, say, 1, and then 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say I got stopped out 6 times, just, guesstimating, just to make you happy and say I got stopped out more than I probably would have. All right. I'm still net positive 42 versus where I was. And that is the whole point. All right. What it sounds like to me is you're trying to make the absolute epitome of profit every single trade that you make. That when you take a long, you want to get out at the next top. When you take a short, you want to get out at the next bottom. And what I'm simply saying is you have no clue when that is. And I don't either. And if you have a simple way of telling me exactly where the macro tops and bottoms are going to be, where those major pivotal points are going to be, where those maximal profits that make everybody wish they were you, if you could tell me where those points are, then at that point, I will concede everything. Because clearly, you got something going on, and you should not share it with anybody else. And that is what my method is based off of. Is that you can never have a perfect moment. So yeah, when I take a long position, am I getting out exactly at this top? No. I'm waiting for the appropriate moment to do so, which is here. To me. So yeah, you would have made extra profit. And of course, for the moment, it would have been working out. And that is why it's important to have multiple accounts. If you want to go ahead and say, I want to take profit when a significant short ABC shows itself, you can do that on multiple accounts. All right, this is a free land. We don't have to just trade one way. If you have a macro hedge position, and then off of that you have a medium time frame long position, and we go up and we hit a 10, 20 R&R and you want to take profit, be my guest. But I'm worried about the psychology of what that might do to you. That's all. If I'm longing, I should get out when bearishness appears. I can't explain it in a shorter way. I don't have any means to contact you. It seems only speak and we are the mutes. There's a lot of ways to contact me, man. In the description, you have access to my X account, which you can DM me on there. You have the YouTube comments. You have the live chat. You know, there is the Discord, but that is paid. All right. In no way, shape, or form are you muted. I am pulling you up, and it's maybe a form of gaslighting me, I don't know. I'm pulling you up on the stream, giving you 20, 30 minutes of my attention, because I do care about your question. You are not the mute, and I'm the only one that speaks. And if you're not willing to listen, then at that point, I can't help you. But yeah, that's that. Like I said, I can't really explain it in any other way besides that. It's a method that I fight my own psychology. And I do think there was some misnomers. Like he said that you can't hold a trade for that long. Which, I don't know if he's talking literal or if he's talking funding. I don't quite know. I'm assuming that he's talking psychological. Because you can. You can hold a trade for that long. Like, there's nothing stopping you. At all. So, there we go. And I kind of just started the stream with all that. So, Nature's Game, what's up, man? Good morning. Lahad, what's going on, man? David, haven't seen you in a year. Hopefully you have a big beard. No, I like to keep it trimmed. I don't grow the best beard, so I try to keep it as shaped up as I possibly can. Hey, Kite, you should do it Monday. Glad to see you today. Yeah, I'll still be live tomorrow. I'm not going to skip a day just because I was here an extra day. Simran, what's going on? Good morning, man. Aren't you happy? Why are you here? Because I love you guys. That's why I'm here. Crypto Juggle, 24-hour stream. Let's go. No 24-hour stream. Just here because I want to be here. Rocky Road, what's going on, man? Here at Zero, what's going on? Good to see you on a Sunday afternoon. What's going on, John? How you doing, man? Crash Farmer Aspen Gold is awesome. I have 3 accounts. One for max profit. Hold for months, get 40 to 100%. One I hold for about 10% profit. And then one for day trading, 3 to 5%. See, that's the way to do it. And most of the time when I'm talking about the macro account. Because to me, that's what matters the most. And if people can take the psychological issues that need to be fixed from a macro account and they trickle that down, it helps everything they do. So, I'm not going to sit here and hyper scalp to appease someone who wants to take profit 5 minutes later. Drew, what's going on? He said, the f is up, homie? The f is up? Nothing much, man. Just my eyeballs. My eyeballs are awake. It's another day. Guess which one is the most profitable? That's a little bit hard for me to think. You're gonna turn around and say it's the scalp trading? Blow my mind. Let's go ahead and get started on whatever has happened in the last 24 hours. So, Bitcoin still kind of holding this region here. If we scroll down to a smaller time frame, obviously this is our largest ABC position currently, followed up by now this position here. I think technically, yes. Obviously, some exchanges might be different, but I do believe that ever so slightly, we have put in the lower low. So technically completed ABC off of this. So technically we have big bullish, medium bullish, or small bullish, depending on how far you want to look at it. So I definitely do think that the market does want to make one more try to the upside. Like I said before, I don't think that this is the bottom. I'm simply in the trade because the trade is there. But that being said, I do think that we're either going to try to retest, let's see, 88,729, or maybe even 95,400. We could go higher. You know, that's up to the market if it wants to do that, but these are kind of the two main resistances that are looking for a retest here. If that happens, we are going to be forming a short ABC here, and then that would be my first entry into a hedge short, which hopefully the goal of that is to have a larger ABC downtrend form, which hopefully will come close to a touch of the previous resistance, and then get a bounce. That would be the goal, and then get back above 76,538. If that happens, that is quite the significant ABC structure, and definitely would be looking forward to holding that going into the future. But that's all she wrote about that. There's nothing really much to talk about. That's the general plan that I'm going for going forward. And then obviously, if this short trade ends up working out and we don't, get that bounce, well, then we'll probably dump back down below this resistance, and then hopefully on a retest, we get something that resembles this coming up to the resistance, and then I would be moving the short from there to here. And I think most of the issue for that one guy comes from the fact that, like, the unknown. If you're sitting in the short trade up here, and one, you don't have enough foresight to realize that there's a short trade that is about to form if we have one more kick to the upside, which then you can move that trade, well, then there's like this pit in your stomach feeling of like, well, what if we never get it? What if we never get it? Well, the thing for me, like, I already see the A to the B. So upside is actually the answer to my take profit. So having the opposite of my trade being the reason why I would take the trade just gives me such a sense of peace. Obviously, if there is no A or B, then yeah, like, there's always the thought of like, oh, what if we just massively bounce and all of a sudden it just erases all my problem? Like, the odds of that happening are low. So therefore, why do I care about that? All right, if I'm in a short trade from the top here, and, price action does what it did, and then all of a sudden we just go, just straight back up. Like, what am I gonna do, dude? Like, obviously, hopefully, the same thing happened and I would be in a long position. But, like, in all reality, like, what does anybody do? How do you plan on that? So why care about that? All right, but right here, I see an A, I see a B. So I'm not scared about price going up because I'm in a short. I'm actually hopeful that it will, because it will form another short position, and that's a pretty, for most traders, this area is a significant amount of price action to be holding the short trade. So to be able to get out of it in the first place is pretty awesome, wouldn't you say? So to me, it's the simple fact that I'm holding a short trade that, to no matter which side it goes now, I'm very content. And that's why I like to do things I do. Because what if we just, blip, 7,000% tariff comes out on condoms, then boom, crypto market crashes because everybody's having babies now. Everybody's got to go buy McDonald's twice a day. So I'm in a short trade. So why do I care? Like I said, my goal is not to get upset with your question, but at the same time, there was a little bit of rage bait written within the question. I don't know if it's a thing with you, and that's just how you speak. You're thinking bad about yourself, so you're equating yourself to the mute or whatever it might be, but you have just as much of a voice as anybody in here. And if you ask a question appropriately, I'm going to answer that question appropriately. No harm, no foul. But you threw a couple little insults in there, or at least that's what I took it as, trying to act like you were the innocent person in this situation. I totally understand if you don't understand where I'm coming from, but please allow me to explain. If you still don't get it, maybe it's just not for you. And that's all. And I hope that you do find what's for you. And it will take time. Let me open up Fimex. I did get kicked out of the LTC trade from yesterday, which was to be expected. Like I said, that area between the macro ABC long and the area between the micro was definitely kind of just like a wave region, and had complete availability to just go back and forth. So I wasn't surprised if I got kicked out of that. I just took it just because it was there. Oh, we actually did dump down a little bit since I've last looked at the chart this morning. Okay, cool. All right, so that kind of changes things a little bit. All right, so if I go down to a 30-minute time frame here, just to see exactly where that candlestick is. All right, so we have now fully and completed what we did before, but it was just a very, very slight touch. We have now fully completed the A to a B to a C here. So now if we do happen to come back above 80.80, I'm a little bit more confident in us kind of getting above that pretty decently. Now, if we do happen to stay below this local low here, it's not really good news for Litecoin because there's really no support until you get down to this lower 58 to 49 region. So we'll see what price action does here. That is definitely something to watch out for and keep an eye on. And just to show you how I would go about this, with Litecoin, I'm going to go ahead and set up a conditional trade just in case a little bit of fast price action happens and we miss it. Okay, so if we want to enter, oh, actually, technically, on this chart, it is actually already completed. So I guess I'll try to go for it. I was going to do a conditional trade, but on this chart, 79.75 is the low of that A, start of that B. And technically, we are back above it. So same thing goes as yesterday. We're going to be using about $1.50 worth of So 150. Margin size. How did I have this set up yesterday? I had this with a 1.5% maybe. 4%. 5%. That's 17x leverage. I'm not upset with that. I feel like that's appropriate there. And let's go ahead and just use that. All right, so 17x leverage. Firm with 100 contracts. Our stop loss, we want to be 25% of the total. 77.7. Firm. Open long. Oh, do I have these on Hakanishi candles too? Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, so maybe I do close that trade. All right, let me open up regular candles here. All right, it was Hakanishi candles. That sucks. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and close that. We lose a little bit on the fee here, but it's better than not being safe. Okay, so I'll leave it on regular candlesticks here on this chart because we got to get that precise. All right, so we can set up a conditional. So we're going to go ahead and go here. We're going to set up a market conditional trade. Our trigger price is going to be 79.82. The size is the same. We're going to be going long. ROI is a negative 2.5. And then hopefully if I click this button here, it will not immediately put me in the trade. It's going to wait until... There we go. The conditional trade is set up. So if the price action does kick back above that previous support, then we're going to be go ahead and entering that long automatically. It will automatically set up our stop loss as well. So that way, if we're not watching it and it does happen to dump back down, we don't lose the full margin amount. We only lose what we're supposed to lose. And just to show you that. And crypto constant tutor. I saw your comment yesterday. You said you tried to message me on Discord because there is other avenues to talk to me. I accepted your friend request. I didn't see any message that came along with it. So yeah, I'll send you like a little wave here just to show you that I did that. You said in your comment, did I see the price action on Ethereum? When I looked at it, it didn't look like anything really changed. So I don't know what you mean. Maybe there's a different chart, or were you talking about like the little like up and down that we got here? Oh yeah, on the 5 minute. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to the 5 minute. I'm sorry, man. Right now my BNB position starts to approach to my stop loss. Sad face. Oh, which one was that? I'm assuming it's the small time frame ABC here. Yeah, it wasn't that significant to begin with. So, you know, it's one of those things that happens. Definitely, like, if this was a bit thicker of a trend, then it could have held up a little bit better. But with BNB, like, if you look at the previous price action, there's a lot of wacky stuff that goes on here. It doesn't look like the best ABC coin in general, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a couple points. If we look at the daily chart here, there's a nice one there. Obviously, there's the macro one here. But there's a lot of in-between that happens with that, so. Maybe BNB is just a macro coin where you don't want to mess too much with these smaller time frames because of the market cap and liquidity. Hey Kite, do you think we were going to a long-term bear market next year in BTC following the 4-year cycle? I can't quite answer that because my general feeling on it is that Bitcoin is getting to the point where the halvening and subsequently the bear markets that come from the redistribution of the halvening are getting less and less effective. The whole analogy is that the halvening should be seen as like a decent sized rock. And when Bitcoin had a low market cap, low supply, that rock made a huge turmoil. Because if you throw it into a puddle, obviously it affects a puddle more. And then the market cap and supply grew larger, so now it's a pool. And yeah, it still ripples the waters for, a generous period of time, but then that pool turns into a small backyard lake. And then, eventually it turns into Lake Michigan. So yeah, you'll see an effect from throwing a rock hard in the water. But it gets less and less and less as the supply grows. And we're pretty damn close to maxing out in supply. Obviously, we won't have fully mined Bitcoin until 2134. But for all intents and purposes, we're practically there. All right, so the halvening starts to have less and less and less of effect. So therefore, I do think the cycles would become longer and longer and longer. If not, the cycles no longer matter at all. Bitcoin now becomes a completely and utterly free asset. Which for some people, they hate that idea. Because obviously with the cycles, we could count on such and such momentum every now and then. But now, we kind of just have to wait and see. Oh my goodness. So yeah, here we are. This is the SPY. So we talked about how yesterday our current local low is 534, right? And once again, it's an if this and that. We look at the local lows. If we cannot hold 534, our next local low support of 505 would be where the market wants to retest. And within the day, we have dropped straight down to that, and so far have started to kind of collect support at that region. Will it hold is not up to my mind to decide yes or no. It is to simply say that that is a significant support region. As of right now, until we get down to 397, it actually is the most significant support region. Hopefully, if we do continue dumping, 457 would turn into the next most significant support region, but we can't exactly say that it will because that's previous resistance and not confirmed as new support on a macro scale yet. So we can assume that it would be, but we cannot necessarily put full confidence in it. So we can only put full confidence in the next available local low. So that's a big drop there. Obviously, we got a little something here at 487, but for all intents and purposes, these are the two biggest downtrend cuts within the uptrend. So these are the ones that we'd be looking at for supports. But, putting two and two together, we got a couple bullish ABC positions that are ready to be confirmed while this is sitting at a macro local low. So not too hard to see it being an available option for us to bounce. I haven't taken a look at Apple in a long time, so Apple put in an ABC top here. We had a little bit of a retest of the upside, but it's an if this and that statement. We did put in another ABC right here alongside it, which could have been taken. So at the moment, we have local low support at 165-ish. Just go ahead and mark that out. And then local low support here at about 125-ish. We do have the macro ABC, which didn't end up working or being respected all that much. So obviously it's something to be aware of. But I want to be entering off of that or selling off of that. I'll be waiting for the retest confirmation with that large of a macro scale. Africa. Hey man, how you doing? I've been doing okay recently. I've been getting good sleep and trying my best to just be a little bit more upbeat versus what everything's happened past year. Fish is doing awesome. He's a fat little boy. He eepy right now. He eepy. He eeping. And that happens on a Sunday. Very nice. Yep. We love to see it. The DXY on the daily time frame is close to completing the future here. A gigantic ABC long position. Obviously would have to confirm. If we do fail to hold that local low support, then, ooh, buddy, do we have a dump in store for you? Right there. That's the next available position. And that is coming off of a ABC top during the B wave of the larger structure. So this was the macro, then obviously you could probably cut it down to a micro to find something where you could have played it into it. And there's ABC top here. And obviously there's one here, but that was quite choppy. So this is the moment that I talked about before. All right. We're kind of at this point where if you take everything at face value, it looks like we're going to dump more. So to show to your point before, the guy I was talking to in the comment, if you took this short at 108 and everything is looking this bearish from like a bird's eye perspective, obviously things could turn around. Why are you so eager to take profit on this short trade? If the DXY looks like it's about to dump further, if Litecoin looks like it's about to dump further, all right, and we don't have a lot of support until we get down to these lower regions, well, my, oh my, oh my, there could be a lot of profit to be had. And if you weren't in this short position, how do you think that would make you feel if we dumped? It'd make you feel pretty bad. Right now on this account, I'm not in any short positions because I did not start this account before any of those hedge trades were available. So if that's the case, Well, most average people would now be taking shorts because they think it's going to go to the downside based on other avenues. And if it does, so what? I guarantee you a lot of those people are still going to lose money, even though they're taking the correct trade. They're probably using high risk, and they're going to get knocked out a couple times, and it's going to turn into a bad situation. But me, if I don't have a previous short setup that I'm short from, I'm not just going to simply open up a short trade just because we dump below support a little bit. I could if I wanted to, and yes, it could work out. But at the same time, I'd rather be short from a higher point. I need more confidence in that. Jamal, hey Kite, do you like the link setup? Can you check it out? I think we checked it out the other day, and I think there was something to be said about it. So, link on the macro time frame here. Knock out to a daily chart here. So obviously our macro local low support is still quite a bit away. These lower levels. We are coming off of an ABC top. And to me, this definitely still looks like a single trend. Obviously, if we look at it a bit closer here, we definitely can see a breakup trend. We can see A to B to C. So maybe we are looking for that C wave completion. But yes, if we did happen to dump down a little bit lower here, it's not the most significant ABC by any means, but it's there. So if you combine that with how Bitcoin is looking, how Litecoin is looking, this could be an appetizing setup. I'm not saying that it's necessarily the best I've ever seen, but it's there. And obviously, I would be more inclined to say that that would cause a medium time frame retest into these resistances here. And then more than likely, we might see one more stretch to the downside, creating a larger structure to retest previous support. And that might be a little bit better of a situation going forward. Do you think KDA will ever recover? It depends on if we go back into like a real bull market. When it comes to coins like KDA, the whole point of why I was taking the trade was in hopes of the typical type of bull market. Not necessarily in the same exact way that always usually happens, but the fact that there would be money floating around, ready to grab onto things on a whim. And due to that fact, if we looked at the supply versus how much money would have to come in order to see exponential growth, that's why to me it looked like a good risk to reward trade. But to say it's going to recover right now, there's not high hopes, to be honest with you. The trades are there to be taken. As most trades, we just look at them from the blind eye perspective. But at this moment in time, it doesn't look... I do like the chart. I do like how deep the trends are. That does give me hope. But at the same time, it being a low cap altcoin, without the exposure that a bull market brings, it's hard to say that it's going to just immediately turn around. It really does. It's unfortunate to say, but once again, just one of those R&R plays that did not work out. Let me see if I can move that entry down on Bitcoin yet. No, I'm just gonna have to wait until I get stopped out of it. So yeah, like I said, obviously the better entry is going to be down here at 73,326. So there's room to the downside. My stop loss is at 80,777. That's due to the fact that I was taking a long trade based off of this, much smaller time frame ABC, and I missed it on the entry. So I set my stop loss generously below, just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room because I knew I wasn't in a safe place. So if we ended up losing that trade, I probably just stay out of it until we get down to this level, or if we happen to reconfirm a couple other macro trades on some different coins in combination with this ABC here. So we have the macro, which is the most important, right here. And that is at 78,315. This is the original that I took my trade off of. Very small. Don't ever recommend doing that. But it was close enough to the larger macro one. And obviously did work out a little bit. But it didn't have enough momentum to continue. Especially to get the short hedge. That's what we were truthfully looking for there. But we do have the larger one that formed here. So if we do happen to dump back below that, so if we don't happen to get all the way down to this entry once again, this one does become the available option for me personally. Now, what we could do is, if we are bearish, what is this? This must be the poop coins. We can try to find something that is up when it shouldn't be, and see if there's any ABC trades to be taken here. If we think the market's going to dump, something that's out of place could be used as a hedge. Ooh, that was a nice ABC top right there. Ooh. I kind of like that one. Okay, so we're pretty much at the entry point. We did put in the slightly higher high. How much leeway is to the downside on this? Back down to local lows would be about 17%. And then how much room? So it's pretty generous on the 1% there. much price action is on the 12-hour for this? So yeah, this looks like an A, and then it looks like we're either one finishing up the B wave. Obviously, we would have to put in the higher high here to finish up the B wave. But we could end it early if there's not enough momentum and the larger caps are dragging this coin down. Yeah, this actually might be an option here. The minimum trade on this, 20 cents. Yeah, so we'll do 10%, 5%. Looking at 16 on the short. Change that to isolated. And then we would be looking at 120 contracts. And then a short advanced, 20% on the stop, $1.5. Have a little bit of fun, shall we? Now there's slippage on this, so if I get stopped out the first time, I'm just gonna lower the risk down to a 0.25% just so it doesn't happen again. All right, so let's go ahead and lower that down to 10%. I'm comfortable with 10%, so we'll do 8x. So these are the 2 points I want to take this short from. Good morning, Creedmoor. How you doing, man? Oh my God, are we actually gonna get the second entry here? It's wild. I'm just patiently waiting for something to happen here. Just having a bit of fun. I went in here to the futures, and I'm just looking for any altcoins that are just generously up and seeing if they had any patterns. This was the only one that was within confirmation position. So, I mean, if we can snag, you know, a small risk short on one of these shitcoins, and if, you know, LTC, BTC might dump here, there's a lot of room to the downside on this coin in particular. Kite, what do you think about getting funded? I'm gonna be honest. I do think that they're scammy. I mean, it's you know, it's a hard thing to tell someone that, because it's a hope. When people think about getting funded, it's kind of like an answer to their prayers. And unfortunately, if it was that easy, everybody would do it, right? These websites, they set up a whole bunch of arbitrary rules that if you're somewhat halfway decent at trading or get lucky, you can pass those rules, which gives you a feeling of superiority and accomplishment. So therefore, it's a psychological issue. Makes you feel like you deserve to be there. So therefore, you continue trying to beat the test. So some fail the test in the beginning, and then they repay to take the test, and they do it over and over and over again. So that's the whole business model of getting funded, is they are bringing in revenue, not from the trades that are happening by the people who pass the test, but through the people who are failing the test. And then they are paying out the people who are making trades, quote unquote, with the profits made from the people failing. And if you, for whatever reason, are just such an excellent trader that you're bringing in $10,000, $20,000 profit on a trade, they're going to cut you off because they don't expect you to be making that much. So you would have spent all this time for nothing. Can you make real money? Yeah. But if you're making too much money and they can't afford to pay you without going negative, they are not going to pay you. And all that time you put in would be for nothing. So in my opinion, it is better to start off with a small account on your own rather than continuously trying to go for funding and build that account up to the point where they can't pay you any longer. If it was a real funding, it would be through a legitimate contractor like JP Morgan or, an actual bank that's paying you to trade and only giving you a percentage of the profits, a small percentage of the profits at that, to trade their money. All right. Any website that's like, we're going to give you half of everything that you make, it's not real though. Well, it's real money, but it's not coming from where you think it is. When signing up for your link to Fimex, I'm getting restricted IP. Can you help me without KYC? Um, I would have to ask if that's an issue, but I think you do need a VPN originally, and then once the account is made, I don't think it, as long as you're logged in, it doesn't kick you out, and it won't ever ask you to KYC to use any of the features. But if you want to use a free VPN in order to get in and then make the account, I think that's how you go about it. Yeah, I mean, you can make that argument, Rocky Road. But like I said, it's a hard ordeal. These websites, they want you to fail because, like I said, the more people that fail, the more profit that they make. So if you can get through the test in one shot and, you know, make a couple $1,000s and get out, then be my guest. But it's a psychological trap. You might fail one time after paying $90, and then fail twice, and then fail 3 times, and fail 4 times. And then, yeah, you finally get it. But then they set up a whole bunch of arbitrary rules, like you have to make 1 trade a day. You can't fall below this P&L, blah, blah, blah. They're setting up roadblocks so that if you fail that, then it resets your account, and then you have to take the test again. So even if you can get past the test, they're putting these rules that are specifically bad trading in your way to make sure that you fail in order to reset your account to make you pay more again. So if you can get through all that and still make a net positive without losing a good chunk of change, then go for it. But me personally, I just don't think it's a good idea for most people.
Feel a little something in the air, light a fire, give 'em something that the government will hear. In the morning, flex a muscle in the mirror, give something, let 'em hustle, tell 'em Huckleberry's here. The chat. He either left the county or he's dead. Somebody find the body, there's a bounty on his head. Have you seen this man lately? The left-handed band is back, baby.
Now I'm whipping around 85, sipping on 80p. Thinking about a past life, thinking about me. I should've left, but instead went and let her on. What can I say? Pretty soon I'm gonna
so we fightin', we fuck. I'm back in the city, nobody happy to see me. The left-handed bandit puppy, you black as my beanie.
Why is the margin under $5? This is my new sponsored account through Femex. And I still have my other accounts. But they offered to fill the account with some currency, but I just rather start with $150 and show off the website. Show people low risk setups. What are your thoughts on DCA bots? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's used responsibly. As long as it's not making 100,000 trades per second. But like, you know, technically like Robinhood's daily buy is a DCA bot because it's an automatic process that's buying for you every day, no matter the price. So DCA bots I got no problem with.
Anything you can do, I can make fun of. Before you put your nose in it, let me know whose coke it is. Baby laxatives and others fentanyl or most of it. Am I sober? I'm sober-ish. Shit, y'all represent everything that I go against. Lay it down on 3. I don't think you heard about Sammy. I'm a one-take Timothy. I can feel the sunshine. Now I'm whipping round 85. Sipping on ADP. Thinking about a past life. Thinking about me. I should've left until when I let her on. What can I say? Pretty soon I'm gonna miss her. Another one that got away. Break it down before you burn the Bible. Was that the rifle? Better aim it down. Take a bow. None of them your homies, the one and only. Better make it count. Break it down before you burn the Bible. Was that the rifle? Better aim it down. Take a bow. None of them your homies, the one and only. Better make it count.
The left-handed band is back, baby.
Huckleberry, where did he go? Apparently so. I feel it coming in the air. Beware the lions and bears, you're scaring them both. I might put down the bottle, pick the big book up. I used to hide a 40 ounce inside a big gold cup. Ooh, here come the hiccups, yeah. Seattle like a Subaru, country like a pickup truck. What's up? Round with the windows down. Brand new bike and a brand new sound. With a little flavor of the old school. I might fuck around and go to rehab to beat the cocaine. I might rebrand and keep the same name. I might put out a record where I barely rap and call it Heavy Hearts to find out where my real fans at. The chat. Yeah. Go, Huckleberry's house, bounce. Everybody get the fuck out. My flow's back, I know it's been a little while, but it's still set with Amy the Chow. Got 2 pairs of pantaloons and a flannel too. Man, I used to dabble and dab the banana goo. Grew up in Seattle, I've been in and out the zoo, but the left-handed bandit is back. I might buy a bottle just to pour it all out for the homies who ain't around. There's way too many to count. I might give my puppy a treat just cuz, and then give him another treat cause he was only just a bit of bite. Ghostwriters and proofreaders, cold pressed celery inside of a 2-liter. Boy, I must have made enemies with every barkeeper. Look me in the eyes like, there you are, Peter. I might.
Do you think ETH will make an all-time high this cycle? Well, it's debatable whether or not this cycle has come to an end point, right? I think if the correct puzzle pieces are set in place, we can make a try for it. But at the moment, we don't even have necessarily like a strong ABC bullish position to tell us that there's even going to be a retest of 4,160. So until we get something, I can't even say yes or no. If we get a strong ABC lined up with the rest of the market after touching some support, I can start calling for a retest of one of these higher resistances, and obviously we can hope that it will put in a higher, but I can't make any prejudgments. I can't say yes, no, maybe so. At the moment, it's looking like a no, but things change.
Is it performative? Of course it is. I'm over you, I'm over that, I'm over this. Got a warrant, haven't been to Florida since. So now I get my oranges imported in. For the win. The sort of shit they caught me at the border with. In every crevice and crack and orifice. I sorta didn't, then again I sorta did. I don't know. Maybe this is where the plot thickens. Rock bottom is when you decide to stop digging. I can hear the timer on the clock ticking. When I'm gone, then baby, play this song for them. Wake me when October ends. Take me way back home again. Say hello and hey, we'll maybe still be sober then. Bounce to it, you better bounce to it. Turn it up and let the 808 pound to it. Get loud, show them how you get down to it. And say set, and what Emily shout to me.
Bounce to it, you better bounce to it. Turn it up and let the 808 pound to it. Get loud, show them how you get down to it. And say set, and what Emily shout to me.
Give me 1 second, I'm trying to find something.
You're gonna wanna go ahead and make a left, then make another left. If you ever get lost, wait a second, take a breath, take a step straight ahead. You can't miss it. It didn't go exactly as you planned, did it? I grabbed whatever I had and I ran with it. Blinded by the money, the women, the ambition. I never sat and listened, asking who Sam is, and Sam isn't. Turn reality into fan fiction. It's mad simple. Zanny react different as soon as you add liquor. Now everybody getting killed by fetting the press pill. I hate the fact that I never met Mac Miller. Rest in peace, Mac Miller.
Okay, I am back. Oh my goodness! 1 minute time frame, ABC. 1 minute. We did it. Okay, back to the larger time frame. I wouldn't mind that higher entry. It's not a whole lot of extra profit, but a bit safer. It's 5%. And obviously, it's the better ABC option out of the two as well. I'm still alive, but I'll never be guilt-free. It still stings. My city flooded with fentanyl pills. Sheesh, I hate the fact that I'll never meet Lil P. Real shit. There's a place beyond the pine. See what you did there, Costi. You're playing those dangerous time frames. I see you. I mean, you had ABC here, and then you ended up taking this ABC long here. So I mean, could have been playing both sides there.
got is moved on, and I'm here.
The dangerous time frames we're playing on. Especially with the choppy chop like this. I mean, obviously, if you zoom out a little bit, it was close to what that entry would have been in the first place, so nothing too crazy. But obviously, the closer you can find on that would be better.
A night awake, now Monday coming, a brighter way, a brighter day. We close the curtain and hide away. I wish my face didn't light up at the sight of EA. Never thinking bad decisions that we might have made. In a stupor, ducking the state trooper. I'm kinda shocked they let me walk into Vancouver. Lickety split, getting gimmicky quick. They really went and tried to slap lipstick on a pig. It's so fake. Yeah, I want gold plates. I don't pay for pussy, I pay him to go away. I get around the sure Seattle downpouring. They call me Set Edward, Amulet Child, or it's Hucko. I'm like, what's up, fucko? I'm your favorite drunk uncle's favorite drunk uncle. You show up and wait, and me, I go. Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Me and Gypsy Rose hit the road, sipping whiskey coke. She told me to go, she don't ever wanna let me go. When she ratted on me, you could say I was a little choked. Her mom was a bitch, no one missed her when I slit her throat. Every day I just fantasize about evil stuff, like Rihanna licking up semen out of my penis pump. Bumping Dio, smoking like Cheech and Chong. I don't need my lungs. If you see Endo, I be feeding, put them beneath my tongue. Someone told me that way they absorb quicker. My poor liver sipping more liquor than Frank Skinner. I'm dang twisted, not that grimace. I rolled swishers. I told Whitney this shit's different. I'm so itchy. Went from coke sniffing alone with my nose dripping to climbing mountains out in Peru with Joe Simpson. I love fucking strippers even if they're old women. There's plenty fish in the sea. I'ma go fishing.
Oh, no.
Oh, almost forgot. Okay. Gotta go post this before it actually gets triggered here.
Since I was the buzz boy, they fired me cause they told me I look visibly annoyed. Charismatic, or maybe I'm just an addict. I can't tell if I'm in a good mood or if I'm manic. I've been cursed since birth. Welcome to the club, what up? Welcome to Earth. This for any person who wake up without a purpose. This for all the kids who live in towns nobody's heard of. For anyone who's either terrified or nervous, insecure and self-medicating to cure it. I tell you that you're worth it, but what good is the word if you forget that nobody else here is perfect? Trust me. Whenever the man in the mirror is ugly, I give my mom a call to remember somebody loves me.
I'm coming home, cause I can't do this on my own. And I feel so alone around all these people.
When you're hurting down and out and your girlfriend always doubt you. Nobody calling like the world forgot about you. I should be home, I should be writing, should be rapping. It's easy to forget how good I have it. If you had a bad day, hit up the cafe, order all of the waffles with hella syrup one time. And if you need a way to cheer up one time, show a puppy his reflection in a mirror one time. Get a pillow, build a fort one time. Get a whomping willow, climb it for the sport one time. Get a moaning myrtle, tattoo and regret it one time. Get a pet turtle just to only pet it one time.
I'm coming home, cause I can't do this on my own. And I feel so alone around all these people. I'm coming home, cause I can't do this on my own. And I feel so alone around all these people. I'm coming home, cause I can't do this on my own. And I feel so alone around all these people.
Maybe it was because I was an only child till I was like 9, I think, when my little brother was born. But like I've always felt most comfortable just on my own, you know.
Hi, can be
Stood lonely.
flat, take low of an A wave.
That's just when I feel most.
Are you asking if a B wave can be like flat like that? Yeah, like as long as you can see a change in trend over a decent period of time, as long as that trend is up, it can be a little bit flatter. But I mean, you can't have a B that goes below the A, because then that's just one trend. Like if you're asking like that, I guess it's really dependent. I would have to see the actual structure itself, but I mean, if price action looked like that, I don't know how I would feel about it in the first place. How do you incorporate ABCs into a spot portfolio, long-term, short-term? I mean, short-term, you would just sell and buy off of the opposite ABCs, but long-term, like let's say you had Ethereum, for example, and you spot, you were in some spot trades from back here or down here off of, some of these ABCs here. And then we had a significantly large ABC top like here. So like let's say you bought here and here, and then we formed an ABC top. All right, so you would sell off a portion, and it's the same thing like a leverage trade. So you would sell off enough to where it would equal 1 to 2% of your portfolio. So if you're using like a 10% stop loss and you sold off 10% of your portfolio, and then you had to buy it back if we continued, you would lose 1% of your buying power. You would lose 1% BTC. But then on the opposite side here, you can either wait for the ABCs to form, or you can look at the local lows. So local low being here, here, and here. You can start buying back the portion that you sold. So you can buy back, 10% here, 40% here, and then the rest here. And just like DCA your way back into the lows. So that way you're selling high and buying back as low as you can, as low as you can, as low as you can.
You cry just like I cry. You hurt just like I hurt. I ain't no different than you.
The long-term goal is accumulation expansion. You're not really trying to capitalize on short-term profits. But like I said, if you have an ABC long and you buy some Bitcoin and you're doing it for the short-term trade, when you see a equal to or larger ABC, you would simply sell off that portion and wait for the next available ABC long trade. I mean, on the 1 hour, on the 1 hour you'd just be treating that like short-term trades all the time, where you're buying off of the confirmation of ABC longs. And then once you get an equal to or larger ABC short that confirms, you would go ahead and sell that position and then only buy it back if we come back up. Latest move of BTC A wave starts at 82,379 and finishes at 83,817, and now we are finishing the B wave, but B wave took low of a wave. Can I count it like this? Well, let me go look at BTC and show you what I see, and if it doesn't line up with what you see, maybe we just have a different idea of what we're looking at here. So you said 82,000.
I'm just like you.
Okay, so you're looking at this trend. All right, so you are on a bit of a smaller time frame here. So you're saying here? Unless you're on like an actual like small, you said start of the 82,000? Where in the world are you seeing this? Or are you looking at from the upside here? I'm just gonna paste to you what I see. Okay, so we have an A to a B, and we have technically put in the C wave, but obviously we're still kind of working on it here. So like this would be the ABC, and then within this C wave we can see we have an A, B, and we're kind of working on a C as well. I don't necessarily think you should really. It sounds like you're on a very, very small time frame here. To even be, because I mean, from none of the points that I would start any of my waves, am I even remotely looking at 82,300. I mean, are you talking about here? Because I mean, this is the start of a wave, but that's not an A wave. That is start of a B wave. Is that what you're referring to? Rodriguez, what's going on, man? How you doing? Long time no see, indeed. So, as you can see, we didn't put in a higher high here, so technically that's not an ABC here. All right. Technically, this would just be all one trend, and then this is where it starts. So I mean, if we just start tracing back here, so like if we start from where we're currently at, all right, we start tracing back. So we have C, B, A, and then the high of this trend here, and here, and here. So right now we currently have A, a B, and we're currently in the C wave. And we would be looking for a retest of here. Now, this could easily go ABC, confirm to the upside, and then we go and put in that C wave, and then that becomes A, B, C, which usually is more likely to happen. The larger structures tend to be what's going to happen, but it could just dump here. And then that would turn into an A, a B, and a C, and then here, and then that would turn into an A, B, and a C. A lot of lines. So that's why it's important to make sure you're keeping track of what really needs to take place. Because if you start getting trapped in that, you just build yourself a spider web. Pay attention to what's most important. Right now, most important, and for all intents and purposes, that's all we have. To get caught up on those smaller time frames is a little bit of a trap. All right, so do I think that's a likelihood? Definitely could be. But even if we do happen to get that I still think that one more is very, very possible. And then from this point, I definitely would start to be, would be a lot more bullish. I'm still bullish because that's currently the pattern that we're in. And we haven't broken back down below previous resistance. So like I'm still bullish, but obviously a larger bullish structure confirming to the upside gives me more bullishness. So a little bit of downside, technically, for me personally, allows me to think a little bit more is possible to the upside. Go check on LTC. What are we doing? Okay, so we're coming back up gently here. Possibly could get that conditional entry to be filled. That conditional entry trigger price is at 79,082, or not 79,000, 79.82.
Like, oh, you tell me to go, I'll pack up and be gone by tomorrow. It was black and miles on back porches. Danny, Wendy, and Jack Torrance's last words were, I woke up in bed and I swear I hoped I was better. I wrote you a letter, I really hope that you read it. But if you never want to hear from me ever again, I totally get it, I totally get it. Okay. Are you gonna be?
Even though I keep on falling,
I'm just waiting for the shitcoin to make a decision. We're stuck in this range between this previous resistance and this one here. I mean, if we push higher, that's a good bit of profit extra if we do happen to dump.
it's just me and myself in these 88 keys, all confused and alone, cause my ADHD makes me ghost people like I don't wanna help. It's difficult enough to keep a promise to myself. I done used every trick and every tool that's in the book. I done bit every hand, I done ruined every look. If it was you, you would've quit. If it was you, you would be shook. Lucky me, I can't remember how stupid that I look. See, my train of thought is more like an airplane spinning in a circle, cause it only has one.
The funding is negative or even. BTC would not dump if it's in the way it is, probably. I tend to agree. But, as of right now, funding for me is slightly positive. We do have the ABC long on the smaller time frame, so there could be a retest of the upside here. It's a best case scenario for me at the moment would be a slightly higher high on the medium time frame to be able to create this this short hedge position, because I have the long open from here. So, you know, if we blow past it, that's one thing. But obviously, creating the hedge is what I'm trying to do here.
Step into my universe, nothing but gloom and gray. The time bomb is sticking inside of me, I might go kaboom today. There ain't no room to pray, I'm healing my wounds from June to May. I got this urge to fill up a tomb, so you should assume I may. I have kept on trying to blossom down my neck and
I've been watching the collaborator dashboard. We've had 9 people sign up for FimX, so I really do appreciate that. Remember, if you deposit 500 and I think make just one future trade, you get a $150 bonus. I'm gonna go check my email because he did send me a new campaign that they're running. Just double check to make sure. Yeah, so deposit and trade futures once to get a 20% bonus back on their first net deposit. And then they have a weekly bonus airdrop to active users of $5 to $100. And he sent this to me 5 days ago. Duration is 15 days. So yeah, it's a $500 max. So if you deposit $500, you and trade futures once, you should get a $100 bonus back. Free money. It says the bonus will be distributed based on eligible users of their net deposit. People who have a negative balance in their accounts will be excluded. So yeah, like if you deposit, make one trade, and then withdraw everything, I guess you're not getting it, but once it goes through, it goes through. I just opened up a new position on Ethereum. Entry point at 1753, 1 hour time frame. Stop loss 2%, 0.1722. Ethereum, 1 hour time frame. Turn on regular candlesticks here, see if we're above that level here. Okay, so you're taking it based off of this ABC here. I mean, that's in line with the largest one. I wouldn't say large, but so we have multi-layered here. So I'm assuming this one, if you're talking about the 1 hour time frame, so that entry point being around 1750, and then that coincides with the larger one here, and then obviously could work your way into this one here. So yeah, we have pretty much this entire area is an entry zone for longs. I mean, you got this one here, this one here, and this one here. So yeah, that's a bunch of entry points right there. It's at 2% stop loss. That's a pretty safe stop loss, especially for this time frame. So yeah, that's generous, because I mean, if we slip below these entry points and you got a 2% stop loss, at that point you're not just jumping back into trade. So it's either going to slip, or if it works out, it works out. So yeah, pretty good. It's almost lunchtime here. I might head out and grab some food here shortly. He said ETH RSI daily started doing higher highs. It's about to reverse anytime soon. I have the RSI open. No, I did not. So the daily RSI. See what you're saying. That is technically hidden bearish divergence, but You're talking about higher lows. So yeah, we got bullish divergence here. Standard bullish divergence. Let's go ahead and extrapolate this a little bit. Let's go 125. Oh, not that much. Okay. Oh, I hate when it does that. Dang it. So, I mean, the 125 is not really showing any crazy signs of bullishness. If we go to 4 hour, 4 hour starts to look a little bit better here.
Laying on the floor with my eyes rolled back, trying to feel alive before I go flat. You don't got to tell me, I know that I ain't gonna last long like this. Ain't no rules in the wild. Every day a mother loses a child. I never get fooled by smile. We ain't fam just cause we been cool for a while. I can't stop, I got moves to make. I've been losing my friends at a gruesome rate. Got a heavy heart, yeah, it grew some weight. You sink or swim, you choose your fate. I don't need
RSI, ignore the candle wicks, it doesn't count. Since it can confirm at the candle close. Gotcha.
On my body. If you hate it, then don't talk to me now. Fuck double, fuck triple, I quadruple down. Now the truth is I love you, I wanted to try, but you are the reason I'm haunted inside. If you ghosted me once, I don't wanna reply. Before living with snakes, I will honorably die. 5 fingers on the wheel when I ride, other hand flipping, one finger in the sky. Eyes wide open, but my heart closed shut. I don't care if you say sorry now, so what?
So what we got on the board, obviously I have my Bitcoin long still open. Litecoin, I did post that today as well. If we get back about 79,080, God, I always say thousands, $79.80. I'll be entering long on Litecoin for the macro ABC long position with about a 1 to 2% stop loss. That's a macro hedge position. I'm not going to be taking profit anytime soon because I definitely would be looking for a retest deeper into the range. Obviously, if we get the high, then that's the best case scenario. But obviously, we're watching to see if any ABC's longs form in between there to go ahead and take profit on that. I, as a kind of hedge position, because we don't have any shorts on the board at the moment, I did go ahead and found a coin that I know nothing about. I was just looking for coins that were kind of out of the range today. Obviously, everything's kind of down today. So I was looking for anything that had good pumps and that had any sort of setups on a significant time frame that could be taken advantage of. This is the only coin that necessarily had anything. So if we get something to confirm on this, I'll open it up as a short hedge because obviously we're going to have the Litecoin long opening. So if we do just continue to pump, I have 2 long positions open at that point. so I'm not too stressed about that. But we're kind of at a point where we could break through supports if things don't go our way, and there is some significant downside in those directions. So obviously an altcoin would amplify that downside. So whatever this coin is, Rome, just to show you why I would even be taking the trade on that. So obviously it's a altcoin, so if downside price action happens, it would dump severely. We do have A to B to C here, and then obviously A to B to C if it does extend that wave. So there's 2 entry points. Obviously we do have to put in the higher high past this point here in order for that to trigger. This one technically is already a completed ABC but not confirmed to the downside yet, so that entry point would be, you know, just below this level here. So just to have something on the board as a just in case, with a valid setup. Obviously if we complete this, that is another option as well. But by that time, hopefully Bitcoin would also have its short hedge available, so I probably wouldn't be touching this. This was just an option because of how everything else was setting. There's no short setups on Litecoin, no short setups on Ethereum, no short setups on Bitcoin. So just to get something there, just in case, to cover a little bit of the stop loss on the other coins would be preferable. I mean, with a coin like this, especially the way it's sitting, I mean, we could go even lower than some of these local lows here. Obviously, local low at 14, local low at 11. So if there was to be an entry point from any 3 of these, obviously, depending on how many times this middle one doesn't work out, I might just go ahead and select the other 2 as possible entries and just forget the middle one. But say, for example, you know, let's say we get the maximum here, and end that with a 1 to 2% stop loss here. So say 2%, for example. Just down to this local low here, we're looking at a 20 R&R. If we dump any lower, obviously that would be a good thing as well. But, like a 2%, can we get a 2%? Yeah, down to that local low is about a 20, 26 R&R. Not too shabby if we were to have a little bit of trouble on the macro coins.
I'm true to my brutality. I can't ignore my instincts and call that shit morality.
All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and head off for today. We've been live for like 2 hours now. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow as well, just because that was the schedule in the first place. Today was a little bit of a slip of the mind, but in a good way. So yeah, I appreciate you, and we'll see each other tomorrow around the same time. 7 to 9 a.m. EST is when the stream will start, so just be on the lookout for around that time. I went over the trade positions that I would be hopeful to take today, if we do get some resolution in these ranges. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign off with that. Like I said, if you guys are willing to, link in the description. If you guys sign up for Fimex, if you deposit any amount and make 1 futures trade, you'll receive 20% of your net deposit. which is a good incentive there. Most definitely. Up to $500 maximum. So yeah, it's up to you guys whether or not you want to do that. I am sponsored by them, but I'm not going to sit here and force it down your throats. I appreciate you guys very much. Let's go ahead and pick a song for the outro and say goodbye. And I'll be back in just a couple of hours, 20 hours or so, to check back up on price action. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it over now. I'll see you tomorrow. Okie doke. Bye!
I don't think I'm even good enough. I should quit while I'm behind. I feel like I'm biting aluminum. They're saying what's happened to Kai. They're telling me don't ever take a break. They tell me you win or you die. They tell me not winning is my only sin, and the giving the sin is the piss in the morning. Yeah, I'm not addicted to liquor, put the glass down. You could pass out, yeah. But if me winning is served with the lemon, throw the cap out, I would black out, yeah. I gotta keep winning to cover my limits and forget the trauma I've been in. If I'm not on top, I can feel it. The proof that I'm nothing, I'm knowing I'm finished. I gotta get up. I need validation and love. I need a whole nation of love. I gotta make up for the vacancy of it. I don't see my pain in the face of the public. So look at me, follow me, I'm uncovered. It helped me forget I forgot how to love me. I need me a hit of anonymous loving to feel for a minute that I'm more than nothing to you. Yeah. Ooh, I got something to prove. Soon as I step in the booth, this is me fighting abuse. This is me wanting to use. Yeah, who needs the vodka? I got your attention. I see tequila dripping from the comment section and blunt smoke and every like you mention. I got some new drugs. I can feel good when the views come. I'm checking my phone to consume some of that crack, that double tap that. I'm a user and I'm used to, yeah, looking outside of myself, yeah, trying to find my worth in the eyes of someone else, yeah. Yeah, if I don't win, I'm scum, yeah. If I'm number one, yeah. No, that's not enough. If I don't love myself, I gotta unlearn being concerned about all this. And nobody on earth is flawless. I don't wanna seek applause, it's outside of me, it ain't mine. I wanna feel better, no fear in the mind, no beer in the hand and be in the eye, or anything but thank God I'm alive. And thank God I'm alive. Drunk driving at night with a mind full of self hate. Another night, another midnight milkshake. Another fight with the hell myself made. Like damn, how many cuts are by my hands? How much poison's from my soul? What bad luck is just the man? Like how much of me is trapped by I am? Which of my demons came from my damage? What enemies came from my land? How much of what I can't do is what I won't do, and what I blame it on is how I cope through it, and what I'm hating on is how I show you. It's like I've had a war inside of myself, like I opened up a door when I was like 12, and then every morning for it, I'm out of my health, I'd wake up in the mud and I'm done with it. Waking up like, wow, this again, this face, this town I'm living in, sinning in, I wanna live, I wanna finally get some new drugs. Like, give me that fanny pack and that food truck. And maybe I'm stuck with just one chick, Mama Dusa. I want to see the sunset as a gift, hallelujah. And I got $2 to my name, so what? I made new Buddha. I want to feel calm in the jaws of a barracuda. Laying in my blood and I still got love for my shooter. Rewind everybody with the same unmade, no doula. Look at everything you want and hate and face your ruler.